Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, click on the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And like I always say, if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, involving the Keffe D bail denial situation, it was basically Keffe D, and the lies that have been told. And then when it came down to the situation involving the funds, it was WAC 100 versus NRS 41B.200. And it simply says, if one had done their research, killer cannot profit or benefit from the wrong, anti-lapse statute, and right of representation, contingent, residuary, and other beneficiaries, common law. Notwithstanding any provision of law, the provisions of this chapter applied to any appointment, nomination, power, right, property, interest, or benefit that accrues or devolves to a killer of a decedent based upon the death of the decedent. If any such appointment, nomination, power, right, property, interest, or benefit is not expressly covered by the provision of this chapter, it must be treated in accordance with the principles that a killer cannot profit or benefit from his or her wrong. So once again, like I said, it was WAC 100 and him trying to make a business play versus NRS 41B.200, which is a well-held statute not only in Las Vegas but in criminal law, period, that a killer cannot profit from the decedent, meaning Keffe D, and how the bail situation was set up, could not profit from the death of Tupac Shakur, and that should be rightfully so. But the craziest part about this, and as I did a little bit more research, was the conversation that Keffe D had with his wife, that they recorded and that they knew was being recorded when she went to visit him. Keffe D, if there was a play to be had in regards to WAC trying to bail out Keffe D, in one instance, WAC did a little too much talking on his end because he, talked about how they needed 10 episodes and all of these other things, right? But more importantly, on the other end, I don't know if they were aware that they were being recorded from that perspective. But Keffe D, in the conversation between his wife, basically was saying that Cash Jones, I guess that's WAC 100's real name, Cash Jones, didn't have the money. He was a front man. They're using him as a front. It's the Jewish guy that's gonna make the movie, and so on and so on and so forth. If this was a play to be had in regards to Keffe D getting out of prison, I would say once again, Keffe D foiled that plan once again. He foiled that plan once again. Once again, talking too much. And I don't understand it. I really, truly, honestly don't. But this is what we're seeing displayed in front of us. Like I said, the well-known statute, 41B.200, is where you can't profit from the death. The murderer or the killer or alleged killer cannot profit off of the decedent or the story about the decedent. And let's be clear, the only reason that we even know really who Keffe D is because of his involvement with the death and the confessions that he's made, the book that he wrote involving Tupac Shakur. Now, when Keffe D was free and he wrote the book, there were no stipulations involving that. And he could profit, as he did, went around and saying that, hey, you know what? I use this, these platforms to make money. I did it for money, fortune, fame, and so on and so forth. But like I said, that's the thing that I've been trying to tell people when he says that. But then they're going to rewind it back a little bit. They're going to be saying like, well, hey, when you were up against this drug charge and you confessed to Greg Kading them about intricate knowledge and details about the murder of Tupac Shakur, and also implementing yourself in that situation, right? You mentioned nothing about or being paid for those that interview, correct? And so there you have it. It's gonna be real tough. But the other thing that I noticed was and people had asked about what Keefe D lied about. Keefe D lied to his wife about her needing to sign her signature in order for him to be released on bail. From that perspective, that's what he basically lied about, and the judge caught that. And the judge basically said that WAC 100's story was inconsistent with what he had said on Vlad from what he was telling them in court, and she had a problem with that also. And so, yeah, but Carl Arnold, the Keefe D's lawyer, I think he's kind of fed up at this particular point. And quickly, if you listen to what he said in court, well, basically, I'm going to tell you, he quickly disassociated himself with having knowledge of any agreement between Keefe D and WAC 100, any contract thereof. Because as a lawyer, one would not want to incriminate themselves or make themselves look bad. Mr. Arnold has already been sanctioned before, and I don't think he wants to be involved with anything like that. Whether he knew about it, didn't know about it, he testified in court today that he knew nothing about any kind of deal, has not seen any kind of deal, and basically said that the prosecution did not present any kind of deal from that perspective. But that leans into something else. Now, this is very important. Now, so once again, if taking what one is saying involving the Keefe D case, when you think about what the judge was saying about Cash Jones, who's WAC 100, she was saying Mr. Jones, his inconsistency in saying that he didn't really have anything wanting to do with any movies or anything like that prior to saying it on Vlad TV, I think hurt his credibility a little bit from that perspective. But more importantly, this goes to show you that when someone says something about something, right? Like Keefe D confessing about the Tupac murder stuff, right? And him confessing about the Tupac murder stuff and then coming back and saying that, oh, it was all a lie, right? Once again, that's how that's looked at. And the credibility thereof of what's being said kind of goes as toward whether you're going to be viewed favorably or unfavorably, if you will, right? And so this is an example, a prime example, if you will, of somebody saying one thing in the arena of social media on YouTube or wherever else, and then getting in front of a judge and saying something else. And then the prosecution or whoever bringing in those outside statements as to the credibility of the witness or person being questioned or testifying in court. You get it? Now, this wasn't in front of a jury. This was just in front of a judge. And like I said, based on law, not hearsay, not anything else or anything that anybody else was saying, Keefe D's bail was denied based on factual law and the law in dealing with NRS 41B.200. Killer cannot profit or benefit from the wrong or benefit from the death of the decedent, if you will, from that perspective. And so this has been a very interesting day, a very informed day. Like I said, a lot of people who don't really pay attention to law, who don't really understand law and how it works. Like I said, once again, it is always important to do your own research. Do not take anybody's word for anything involving something that you don't understand. And I think today was a prime example of that. Like I said, was WAC 100 wrong for trying to do what he did? No. he tried to make the play for to get Keefe D out. But like I said, there were too many things said prior to this move. And from that perspective, that's what foiled the plan, the conversations and the YouTube talks, the conversations involving all of this. Keefe D in jail talking to his wife, saying that Cash Jones was just a front. He ain't got that kind of money. He's just a front for it. I mean, I think that ultimately blew up the bail situation altogether. Him saying, oh, he was a front, it's the Jewish guy who gonna make the movie, and so on and so forth. And just the judge listening to how that conversation went about, I think it left a bad taste in her mouth. And I don't think that she was willing to put her credibility on the line as a judge, and sitting back and thinking about that situation and letting this situation go through. And like she said, once again, you got to commend WAC 100, because he went and stood and on and took basically the stand, and but like I said, his story as far as what his intentions were versus what he said on YouTube versus what he said to the judge weren't consistent, and she found that to be a problemsome, if you will. And so, but more importantly, anybody else basically that wanted to put bail up for Keefe D, and from that respect, would have to do the same thing that WAC 100 did today. And that would be to sit down in front of a camera and, divulge the sources, bank accounts, and all of those things in order to show the source of the cash that's being put up, or the property, or so on and so forth, that's being put up in order to bail Keefe D out. And I don't think anybody really wants to go through with that scrutiny of being publicly outed like that in support of Keefe D, someone who's confessed numerous times that he was involved with the assassination of Tupac Shakur. So, like I said, slippery slope. Tried to play, it didn't work. And like I said, I didn't know whether it was going to work or not. And also, like I said, with the how that usually plays out with the insurance companies, they kind of play the back. I mean, they play the front, and the person really behind the bail plays the back. But since this is such a high profile case, right, the prosecution demanded that the source come and testify, I'm sure, or be recognized, and it not be just like a regular situation. But like with Tupac, when Tupac got out of jail in New York, right, we found out later that it was not Death Row, but in fact Warner Brothers and Interscope Records who actually bailed him out. But this situation involving the death of Tupac Shakur, we found out that the source of the money in relation to the bail of Keefe D had to be known, and it couldn't be shielded by two insurance companies from that perspective. So like I said, it's back to square one. November 4th, the trial begins. And right now with this situation, I think Keefe D's lawyer is pretty much frustrated with this situation as he displayed today in court and trying to defend his client. And once again, like I said, he said that Keefe D would not be testifying at all. But Carl Arnold was forced to put Keefe D under oath and explaining the situation between the conversation that he had with his wife. And see, that's another thing that Keefe D put his lawyer on the spot about, that conversation. You got to be honest, and you got to be truthful from a certain perspective, and if not, just remain silent and invoke your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. If not, through your attorney, but self-impose your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, if you will. So we're going to see what happens, man. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.